You're listening to the LA Football Podcast.
Los Angeles, UCLA fans, what is going on? This is the LA Football Show here on the LA Football Network. Huge news out of Westwood. We've been talking about it. It feels like forever, but it's probably been about 10 days. News happens fast. The transfer portal opened just a couple of weeks ago, or about 10 days ago, I guess. And we have huge news to get into. If you've been following the LA Football Network, you've heard all about it. We already have a Bruin Bible episode up that my counterpart here was on with the Will Decker. We already have some great video breakdown footage from our video guy, Michael McLean. But now on the LA Football Show, we get to get into it. Dante Moore is flipping from Oregon to come to Westwood and play for Chip Kelly and the Mighty Bruins. Excited to get into it. Joined as always, the Madman, my man. What's up, brother? How we doing? Happy Moore Day. Is that what we're calling today?
Happy Moore Day. More is better. That's the slogan here. Rye, I'm so excited for UCLA fans everywhere in Bruin Nation. This is one of the great days in UCLA football history, recent memory. So many implications, so much symbolism and meaning behind this, so many possibilities. Can't wait to get into it with you.
Huge. Yeah. Amazing. Show is always brought to you by our friends at BetOnline. Head to betonline.ag today. Use our promo code BELIEVE. That's BLEAV. You get a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. A lot of bowl games that you can bet on. We got the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl that UCLA will be participating in on December 30th. If you're listening to this show, you probably don't like this team, but USC playing in the Cotton Bowl in the second, or plenty of other bowl games you can win some money on. Make sure you use the promo code BELIEVE so you get a 50% welcome bonus at betonline.ag. All right, Jamal. So officially official, or at least according to, all reports and indications and Dante Moore's Twitter, the 5-star recruit out of Detroit, Michigan, originally committed to Oregon. We've done, I think, 2 shows mentioning him, but now we can officially say he's coming to Westwood. Your just initial thoughts when this news broke today that it was official, as we kind of thought it was trending that way, but some other things happened over the last couple of days, which we'll get into, which made people a little nervous, but it's all said and done. Moore's a Bruin. What's your thoughts?
Well, Ryan, it's euphoria and relief. Not to convolute this show with a quote from the USC Trojans and across town, but I have to quote Mike Bone when USC got Lincoln Riley and he said, "We got our guy." Bruin Nation with Dante Moore, we got our guy. Mm-hmm. And that's what's so exciting about this, Ryan, that you're talking about not just the highest ranked recruit in the Chip Kelly era for UCLA, but this is the highest ranked recruit according to 247 Sports and On3 in the history of UCLA. He slightly scored better than the previous highest recruit ever, which was Josh Rosen. And so you're talking about, in some channels, top 2, some channels, the top guy, some channels, top 3 in terms of class of 2023 quarterback. Many believe he is the best quarterback of the class of 2023. And what this just means, Ryan, in terms of the future of UCLA football, all of that talk about Chip Kelly not being able to recruit kind of goes out the window, because he has had a very smart, sustainable, strategic approach to UCLA football where he wants to go after the transfer portal, and then he is going to invest the time in guys that actually want to come to UCLA, have a predisposition for UCLA. And he had an opportunity to spend a weekend with Dante Moore over 2 nights where they could just talk about ball. And Dante Moore was just blown away by the knowledge, the wisdom, the guidance that Chip Kelly could provide. One of the true modern inventors of college football, on the Mount Rushmore of offensive innovation in the history of college football and the NCAA is Chip Kelly, and that cachet is still loud and well. And what this also does, Ryan, moving forward, is we felt that the Chip Kelly strategy could work where every third year the Bruins could play for big things, the conference, the CFP, and be true contenders, and use those other 2 years through the portal to develop players and really be in a position. Now, when you go from DTR and Charbonnet to a 5-star like Dante Moore, the message you are sending is our strategy not only can work every other year, it can work every year to be a contender where the floor of this program is 8 to 9 wins every year. And we just have not been able to say that in the 21st century. And what this finally does, Ryan, is for the first time, I have known UCLA football since 1989. I've been a diehard fan. I've understood the USC-UCLA rivalry in a deep and profound way since that time. This is the first time UCLA football can actually say we are equal to USC in terms of money, in terms of facilities, and in terms of coaching. And it is a level playing field across all three of those dimensions. And that is something UCLA football has never been able to say with their crosstown compatriots. And that's what Dante Moore brings, not to mention the desire by top recruits at the running back, the tight end, the offensive line, the wide receiver position to play with him, not to mention defensive players who are going to want to say, quoting the great Ryan Dyrud, hey, I only need the 4 to 6 stops a game for us to be in championship consideration. So what this means for UCLA is absolutely historic. It's tectonic. And we were looking at 2023 as a rebuilding year off of the great success that DTR and Charbonnet and Bobo were able to create. Now you have a true freshman as a starter. There's going to be some growing pains, but now the expectation becomes seamless, Ryan. That pipeline into the Big Ten and the momentum that is generated becomes seamless because this kid was from Michigan and didn't really like what the Michigan offense was and didn't feel like it could open up his entire skill set, didn't want to go play for Ohio State because of the rivalry, was looking at a place like Michigan State as a result. So now he becomes this bridge in terms of the Big Ten. It gives UCLA that momentum. It gives Chip Kelly the cachet. It is a huge day in Westwood to be a UCLA Bruin.
Huge. I mean, we'll get more into what he means as a player on the field. Like I said, we have a video up on LAFB on the website or YouTube, kind of breaking down some of his high school film, big body freshman, 6'2", 205 already. Like I can't imagine being that at 18 years old at the quarterback and that athletically gifted. It's just unfair, Jamal. It's unfair. I was 4'11", 95 pounds as a freshman. Well, I guess I was freshman of high school. Sorry. So I guess he's a freshman in college, but even graduating high school, I was like 5'7", 145. So yeah, we'll get into more later down the line, kind of what his play means. Cause obviously there's a lot to get into the style of quarterback he is, just the arm talent, the athleticism he has. And so certainly we will get into all of that, but this to me, and you said it all perfectly, and I'll just kind of add to it, but this is such a symbolic move. And it's something that shows that UCLA is, and you said it, so I'm kind of just repeating it in a sense, but is an absolute factor, not only in the LA market, but now in the national market. And this is something I think that we've known for a while at the LA Football Network. Obviously, we cover the team. I don't think it's biased. I think we just know the landscape and know the program, how it's been building. But I talked to guys today that don't follow us, don't follow UCLA or anything. They know college football at a national level. Talked to 3 people that were shocked. They were like, oh, I thought if he flipped, it was Notre Dame. Like everyone thought outside of like our bubble, I guess, that it was going to be either a Notre Dame or some other school if he left Oregon. We knew all along, like it was either going to be Oregon or UCLA most likely. But now this shows for these people that had no idea, like, okay, this UCLA team's for real. This Chip Kelly is back. Like Chip Kelly is back to that heyday of Oregon, a little different in what it is now. And obviously a different recruiting style because of what he has in Westwood, what he has in LA, and just obviously the growth that he's had as a coach and different styles. But I think with the transfer portal, as you mentioned, being able to attract players in that way, but you get a player like this now. And there's been a lot of talk, and rightfully so, about Caleb Williams across town and how players are transferring to SC because they want to play with Caleb. big time transfer from Arizona, wide receiver, going to SC, which we'll get to on our USC show. So don't worry, Bruins fans, we're not going to get into it. But he is going, Lincoln's great. USC's building something, but he's going to play with Caleb Williams. He had a fun, really good quarterback in Jaden DeLora in Arizona. There's no Caleb Williams. Now you add a guy like a Dante Moore. You're going to get that same style of thing like you were saying, Jamal, of guys wanting to go play with this guy. We see it in the NFL and free agency all the time. So now UCLA is proving like you need that one or two top recruits, and then you can play the game in the portal. That's all you need. You don't need to go recruit 12 5-stars like Alabama's done in the past. You need one or two that's going to attract the free agents, if you will, to come and play with you. You have all the facilities. You have the beauty of LA. You have the sparkle. You have the shine. You have Tinseltown. You have the celebrity. You have all that. So now you just need the sprinkle within the program, the sparkle within the program, which now they got with Dante Moore, and that's going to attract even defensive players too, that they've already gotten some great, obviously the Cal linebacker coming down, where he was just a tackling machine and whatnot. So huge day, historic day, as you all mentioned. So I don't need to go into that anymore, but it's an exciting time. So let's transition to this, Jamal. You kind of alluded to it, so I kind of already know where to go. But currently on the roster, you have obviously Moore. You still have Chase Garbers. You have Justin Martin, the highly recruited freshman last year out of Inglewood. And now you also have another transfer out of the really good offensive program in Kent State, their head coach becoming the new OC at Colorado with Coach Prime. Their quarterback, Colin Schley, also transferring to UCLA, which that was the hiccup that got everyone worried. He transferred to UCLA about 2 days ago, and it's like, oh man, does this mean Dante Moore's out? So you have these 5 very capable quarterbacks. There may even be more, to be honest, in the depth chart. Is Moore your starter going into spring ball? Is it an open competition in spring ball? And this is now getting complicated and questioning to you, but how many of those guys do you think transfer now out of UCLA? Because I don't anticipate them having all 5 of these guys on the roster going into spring ball.
So, Ryan, a couple things there. One is I fully expect Dante Moore to win the starting quarterback position at UCLA as a true freshman. When you just look at the tool sets that this kid has compared to who else is in the quarterback room, even as an 18-year-old, I think he's going to win it. And for UCLA fans, we're going to get into this a ton in the offseason. You alluded to his frame, Ryan, and he's going to grow a little bit and he's going to fill out. In many ways, he is the best of the 2 most talented UCLA quarterbacks in recent memory, where he has that Hundley-like frame and feet and agility, and he's got a Rosen-like arm and accuracy. And that is what is making everyone salivate. So there's going to be some growing pains as a true freshman. He's going to be moving up in competition, speed of the game, complexity of the game, and all of that. So we're going to have to sort of deal with that as a true freshman, obviously. But when he gets to sophomore and junior year, you're talking about all of the possibilities for this UCLA program. So I fully expect him to start, Ryan. I think it's going to be a battle between him and Schley, truthfully. I think Martin's going to redshirt, and I think Garbers is the odd man out. I think Garbers is going to look at the transfer portal. I think Martin is going to stay and try and compete. But the fact that Martin and Dante Moore are essentially the same age, I think eventually Martin is going to transfer as well. And so you're going to have this be Dante Moore's show, and Schley is going to be a credible backup here. And that's really what it's looking like to me, because Schley also committed to UCLA. I think he wants to compete. He wants to see what Moore is all about. But he knew that he knew where the noise was in terms of Moore being able to come, and he still wanted to be part of this UCLA pageantry. There's also the possibility that Schley pulls a bit of a Dylan Gabriel, where he comes to UCLA for a little bit and then transfers out now that he knows Moore is here for sure. So I think Martin's going to redshirt. I think Moore is going to get the job. And I think either Garbers or Schley is going to transfer. One, but not necessarily both. And that's how I see it playing out. Ryan, the other thing I want to mention is something you said earlier about the national exposure of assuming that Moore was going to go to Notre Dame and what have you. It was so interesting because the Oregon media and the Oregon beat writers and the Oregon podcasters, there was a sense of resignation over the last few days that they had lost Moore, because those Oregon folks understand that if a guy who truly understands football gets into a room with Chip Kelly for 2 days, it's over. You are going to be so blown away by Chip Kelly's mind, his creativity, how he thinks about the game. And I found it so fascinating that if you go back and just look at the tone of Oregon, the Ducks Wire, their podcast, their local media, there was a sense of resignation since about Thursday or Friday that they had lost more. And their whole focus was on, do we go get Schleed? Uliungalele is out there. Hopefully Bo Nix comes back. So it really just shows that if you know with Chip. And I think this recipe now with Chip of going into the transfer portal, finding those 4 to 6 guys a year to recruit straight out of high school who want to be part of his 4 dimensions, academic, athletic, spiritual, and social, and then using those guys as the enablers to recruit everyone else, where he doesn't have to get on his bullhorn and go rah-rah, which isn't his personality. This is the strategy that is going to work. It is the first time UCLA football has had a credible strategy that's sustainable, that's competitive, that's compelling in the last 25 years. And I want to see Chip Kelly. This just reaffirms he's going to be with this program for the next 15 years. He's going to retire here. He's going to have his name next to Terry Donahue in that Rose Bowl press box. Yeah,
absolutely. And yeah, that's when you can tell when the home team or the coverage has already known what's going to happen. That's when you know it's a foregone conclusion. So Dante to LA is official. And, I agree with you. I think the expectation is that he is the starter next year. The only thing I'd be curious about, and I don't know if Chip will do this because we saw Chip, throw a very raw DTR to the Lions as a true freshman right off the bat, just because of his athletic ability. And also it was a very thin quarterback room when Chip got over here. But I'd be curious if we see, and I'm sorry, Bruins fans, to keep comparing to Trojans, but this is technically Oklahoma, if it would be a similar situation to Caleb's true freshman year, Caleb Williams, that is, at Oklahoma, where you had the incumbent Spencer Rattler was the starter, played a few games, and then Caleb ends up beating him out, taking over, and the rest is history. I'd be curious if Chase Garbers ends up deciding to stay. He transferred from Washington here. He's from Corona Del Mar. I know he probably really, really wants to start for this team, being here now, going into, I think, his 3rd season since transferring. I'm not saying any of this is going to happen, just thinking out loud here. If he would say, you know what, I'm going to compete, I'm going to give it a shot, he maybe wins the job outright, or Colin Schlee wins the job after, starting for Kent State in that offensive system, gives Dante Moore a little more time to kind of slowly, but maybe we see by week 4, week 5, that they end up passing the keys off to the future of this program and whatnot. So really curious to see what happens. Obviously, that's a big jump from high school to pro, but obviously he's a guy with his talent level that can certainly do that. And it's just going to be fun.
How loaded is the Pac-12 at quarterback next year?
Oh, man.
You have the reigning Heisman winner coming back. You got Penix Jr. coming back to Washington, who everyone thought should have been a top 5 Heisman candidate, who was the leading passer in the nation, arguably with the livest arm. I think Penix Jr.'s arm is far superior to Caleb Williams' arm, and just in terms of arm talent.
Yeah.
Then you got Bo Nix coming back. Bo Nix, through the first 6 or 7 weeks of the season, was a dark horse Heisman candidate who was on many people's top 3, top 5. And now you add Dante Moore, arguably the most decorated high school quarterback in the class of 2023. That's your top 4. And then you're going to round it out with DeLora, the aforementioned DeLora at Arizona, and then Cam Ward at Washington State. I mean, it's going to be a murderer's row. And I think that was another element, Ryan, that really appealed to Dante Moore, to say, not only do I have this great mind in Chip Kelly from an offensive perspective to learn from, to get me to the next level, I am going to play right away because I believe in what I have and what this quarterback room is, but I get to go up against these elite NFL prospects who are 2-3 years older than me right now as a true freshman, and I understand my barometer right away and can work towards that over the next 2 years. So it just makes so much sense in the world. And then when you add the facilities, when you add the campus, when you add the academics, and Ryan, you and I have said this time and again, now with this move to the Big Ten and this media rights deal, there is nothing USC has in terms of football that UCLA doesn't have. There is no reason UCLA football cannot be a perennial power year over year. Kirk Herbstreit has been talking about it for years. This is a sleeping giant of college football when you add the brand, you add the pageantry, you add everything about this university. And I think we're starting to get there with UCLA. This could finally be a scenario where UCLA is the one school in this modern collegiate sports landscape that can be elite in basketball and elite in football. Very exciting time in Westwood.
Yeah, a lot of people didn't believe that could happen, thought it would have to just lean into basketball and kind of be subpar at football, but I think we're seeing the growth and change and shift. And December 19th, 2022, Dante Moore Day is the day that all began moving forward. So huge news. I don't think they're done yet, Jamal. I think they're going to get plenty more players in the portal. I'm sure we'll see some more recruits, obviously. National Signing Day coming up here. Coming up here soon or whatnot. So, a lot of exciting things about UCLA. So Dante Moore to the Bruins. That's all the time we have. This is the LA Football Show for Jamal Madney. I am Ryan Dyberd. Thank you all for tuning in. Enjoy this one. Relish in it. And now, obviously, we got the bowl game coming up here in just a little over a week, which we will start getting into next week right after Christmas. If we don't see you before them, happy holidays. Merry Christmas to you and all your loved ones. We'll talk to you all soon.
You're listening to the LA Football Podcast.